Okay, so good morning. It's good to see everybody here, and it promises to be a fascinating talk. Rena Yudkowsky is a professional memory coach, a geriatric social worker with more than 20 years of experience. She's done extensive research and understands the effect of the aging process on the brain, and has experience as the department head of an Alzheimer's unit in an upscale living facility. Throughout 2 decades of experience as a geriatric social worker, coach, and teacher, she's seen many seniors suffering with memory concerns. She's fascinated by how memory works or fails to work, and has become passionate about helping people improve memory. So to this end, she's developed memory improvement courses to teach people all the techniques they need to improve their memory, feel confident as they age, and exercise their brain properly. She believed that everyone who doesn't have a diagnosed brain disorder can improve their memory. And she was recommended to us as having given the best presentation of the whole lockdown. So I'm now going to hand over to Rena for what promises to be a very interesting morning. And if you can put your videos on, it will be much nicer so we can see everybody and have a bit of participation. That would be lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You can hear me, right? Okay, thank you for that introduction, Reverend Zobin. And thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I love the fact that I can be in my house in Ramat Beit Shemesh and talking to all of you in Hendon. It's so cool. I'm going to, first of all, yeah, if you could put on your video, it makes it so much more fun for me to see your faces. So I'd appreciate that. And you might want a pen and paper. There's a lot of information here. I'm going to have a PowerPoint presentation that I'll be sharing in a minute on the screen, but you might want to take notes. So get a pen and paper if you don't have one in front of you. And I see some people here that, at least one that I recognize from the other presentation I did. Hi, Zahava. It's the same presentation. I hope you won't be bored. Hopefully you'll catch something that you didn't catch the first time, because I talk fast. Okay, great.
She's forgotten it, probably.
Yeah, I don't think she's forgotten it. She's getting much better with her memory now, right, Zahava? Right. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And this is interactive, so I will stop at some point and we'll do an interactive exercise. Whoever just asked it's being recorded, it is being recorded. I see someone pressed record. That's great. I will take questions at the end, so you can put the questions in the chat, but I'm not going to read them as I go along because it's too distracting, but I will take questions at the end. Okay, and here we go. This is a really popular webinar that I've been giving in a lot of places. It's called Train Your Brain. And people always ask me, what is the best exercise that I can do to keep my brain really sharp as long as possible? I bet a lot of you are wondering that question. So we're going to try to address that today. The other question that people always ask me is Sudoku good for my brain? So we're going to talk about that also today. So I am a geriatric social worker and memory coach. My business is called Memory Matters, and you can all see my screen, right? Yeah, okay, great. This is my name, my website, renayudkowsky.com. You're going to want to write that down. At the end, I'm going to tell you everything I do that you can get to all my programs from my website. And if you want to email me with any personal or confidential questions that you don't want to ask here today, feel free to. I check my emails 1,000 times a day. I respond personally to all my emails. It's rena@renayudkowsky.com. So you can write down those 2 things, but I'll put them up again later in the presentation. Okay, so when we talk about brain fitness or brain health, there's a lot of pieces of this puzzle. And this slide is from a website called Sharp Brains. And in here you see a bunch of different puzzle pieces. So there's the food and the exercise and the understanding how memory works. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And the 2 that are in black frames are the ones we're going to talk about today, the mental stimulation and the cognitive training. So it's important to understand that there are a lot of things that go into our brain working right and working well and us feeling optimally well when we're talking about cognition. Okay. So use it or lose it. I'm sure you've all heard that saying before. Use it or lose it. What I'm about to share with you is from a book by Dr. Daniel Amen. This book is called The Brain Warrior's Way. He has several books. He's one of the top specialists in the world. He's a neuropsychiatrist, and he does a lot of scanning of the brains, putting people on a program, and then scanning after the program and showing how people's brains grow, can repair from damage. He deals a lot with traumatic brain injury. He deals with dementia. He deals with ADHD, all like from a very psycho-neurological perspective. Okay, so new learning equals new connection. What do we want to be doing in the brain as we get older? We want to be making new connections. And we do that through learning new things. We'll talk in a minute how to do that some more. And if you don't do any new learning, like if you just sit at home all day and stare at your four walls, what is going to happen in your brain? It's going to disconnect. Everything's going to shrink. And if we take a picture of your brain, it's going to be mushy and soft and no connections in the brain. We don't want that happening. So there's some things we have to do to keep our brains really looking nice and feeling good. Regardless of your age, mental exercise has a global positive effect on the brain. So this is true really if you're 40 or 90. You need to keep using it. Learning keeps your neurons firing, and neurons die if they're not actively stimulated and challenged. This is the premise of everything we're going to talk about today, okay? So there are many studies like this. I'm actually originally from Baltimore, so when I see something from Johns Hopkins, I get excited. So here's a study from Johns Hopkins. This is just one of many studies proving the effects, the beneficial effects of cognitive training. Community dwelling seniors. That means people dwelling at home in their own homes in the community, not in assisted living, not in nursing homes, who took 5 to 6 weeks of cognitive training. That included at least 8 training sessions of 1 to 1.5 hours. Those people experienced significantly improved reasoning and speed of processing skills. So that's not just memory. We're talking faster processing skills. We're talking being able to reason. We're talking about all sorts of cognition, not just memory, right? When we say memory, you think, can I remember where I put my keys? But there's a lot more that goes into memory and cognition. So those people who did that cognitive training, they experienced significantly improved reasoning and speed of processing skills, as well as better ADLs 10 years later. ADL stands for activities of daily living. Activities of daily living are the things that keep you independent. So it's dressing yourself, feeding yourself, bathing, walking, toileting. And unfortunately, when people become less independent, they need help with those things. So ADL is activities of daily living. It's the term we use to sort of put a boundary on, or try to put a criteria on how independent people are. So we not just want to have a good memory, we also want to stay independent for many years. So those people who did this cognitive training also did better on ADL, even 10 years later, compared with those who didn't get such training. Again, this is just one study of many that talks about this. Okay, this is a great slide. Cross-train your brain. Here I have a picture of different parts of your brain, and it's color-coded to the different activities I'm going to tell you that are good for different parts of your brain. What does that mean? If you say to me, Rena, I want a strong bicep muscle, I'm going to say pick up some weights and work out that bicep muscle, right? If you say, I want a strong core, I'm going to tell you to do some planks and work out your core. But what do we need to do? We need to cross-train our bodies. We don't want to just work our biceps or just work our core. We need to work all the different muscles in our body. So we're going to talk about our brain as a muscle. We need to cross-train our brain. So many cognitive processes go on in our brain every second, every minute, every hour, every day, right? So when you say, is Sudoku good for me? Yeah, Sudoku is good for one part of your brain. But we want to cross-train your brain. We want to do a variety of exercises that are going to work the different parts of your brain, just like you would work out your body. Okay? So let's talk. You don't have to remember the names of the parts of the brain. It's not that important. The point is that the different exercises that we're going to talk about are good for different parts of the brain, and we want to do a variety. Now, you don't have to do everything on this screen every day. Obviously, you would be very, very busy, but I'm giving you a lot of ideas of how to keep sharp with different parts of your brain. So let's talk about the prefrontal cortex. That is the 1/3 front part. It's the 1/3 largest part of the brain. It's what makes us human. And a lot goes on in the PFC, the prefrontal cortex. It's in charge of not only memory, but executive function, decision-making, organizational skills, attention, impulsivity, and empathy. So a lot, and more. That's only a few things it's responsible for. So we want to work our prefrontal cortex. We can do language games such as Boggle, or I'm going to add in Bananagrams, if you know that one, any Scrabble, any of the word games that are good for your prefrontal cortex. Or the strategy games like chess. People that are good chess players know that that really works the brain. And crossword puzzles. Those of you that are good at crossword puzzles, keep doing them. Now, you can keep doing Sudoku and crossword puzzles, but you don't want to just do that. You want to do a variety of things. And you want to do things that are hard for you. So if you're really, really, really good at crossword puzzles and it's not challenging for you, it's not doing the job, okay? So whatever you're doing, it needs to be challenging. If it's challenging, it's stimulating your brain. If it's easy for you, it's not stimulating your brain. It's not growing new neurons, which is what we want to be doing. Meditation. Meditation is relaxing and stimulating for the brain at the same time. That's the cool thing about meditation. So I'm sure some of you are into yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, all the things that help us relax. But what I'm telling you now is that it also opens and stimulates the brain, and that's what's good for you. If you're not into meditation, you can get into it. There's all sorts of apps and easy ways to just do some, and you can start simple. Start with a simple meditation, simple breathing that just gets you into a frame of mind that helps you focus more. Okay, the temporal lobes. The temporal lobes are talking about memory games such as, like, you know, those card games where you have to turn over the cards and then find matches. You might play that with your grandchildren. Secret disclosure here. My 7-year-old could beat me at these games, and I'm a memory coach. So those little brains are really sharp. Now, I think the reason that I can't do that as so well is because, first of all, she's a lot faster than me. But besides for that, I don't concentrate well. And my other webinar that I do is called What Did I Come to the Fridge For? And a lot of us have a hard time with focusing, attention, and concentration, and it's not actually memory. So when I play memory with her, I don't even concentrate on what I'm doing. My brain is in 100 other places. And I believe that's one of the reasons that I can't beat her. So when I play with her, I need to be much more attentive and try very hard, and then I probably could beat her. And learning to play a new musical instrument, that is really, really good for your brain. So if you've been saying for 50 years that you want to learn to play piano, guess what? Now's a really good time because it's really good for your brain. The other thing that I don't think is on here, but I want to mention is a language. Let's say you've said, I always want to learn Hebrew. I always want to learn to speak Hebrew. It is so good for your brain, even if it's hard for you, especially because it's hard for you. And even if you don't get it right away, or even if it takes you a long time to actually speak the language, learning another language is really stimulating for the brain. So languages and music are super challenging and super stimulating. The parietal lobes, math games like Sudoku. So a lot of people tell me, even older people tell me, I'm really not good at math, because that's the program in their brain. They're trained to think, I am not good at doing math. A lot of us think we're just not good at math, right? But guess what? We can train our brain to be better at math. We can work out that part of the brain that's in charge of math. So any of the math games like Sudoku, there's all sorts of math challenges I have as part of one of my programs, which I'll talk about later. Juggling. Juggling is cool. Juggling, you're using your eyes and hands. So it's eye-hand coordination to juggle, right? You're actually using both sides of your brain because you're juggling like this, right? So you're using both parts of your brain. And when memory champions get up on stage and perform, guess what they do in between scenes? Like when a memory champion gets up and he tries to recite 100 numbers after pi to show off his memory, in between scenes when he goes backstage, guess what he does? Juggling, because it stimulates the brain in such a good way. Isn't that cool? And reading maps, which is a bit of a lost art because everyone has ways these days. So remember good old maps? Reading maps actually uses your brain. The cerebellum, coordination games like table tennis, dancing, yoga, and Tai Chi. So table tennis and dancing are really good because, first of all, it's physical exercise. So you're using your body and your brain. And that alone, the exercise is good for your brain. It's super fun. It's super stimulating and challenging, and you need coordination. The cerebellum is going to be that part of the brain that might be damaged if you have a stroke and you're having balance issues. Some people that have a stroke, their balance is off or they fall a lot. So we want to work on the coordination, and that's what they do in rehab after stroke. I mean, many parts of the brain can be damaged from a stroke, but specifically I'm talking about coordination. So table tennis and dancing are super good because it uses your brain in a way that's fun, challenging, and physical. Yoga and Tai Chi, again, they're relaxing but stimulating the brain. It opens up your brain in an interesting way. So these are a bunch of different ideas of how you can stimulate different parts of your brain. And again, you don't have to do all of them at once. You can try different ones that speak to you. Some people say to me, I hate games. I don't like playing games. You don't have to. There's so many other ideas here that you can do besides playing games if you don't enjoy that or if you're not into that. Okay, let's talk about new learning tips. The best mental exercise is acquiring new knowledge and doing things that you have not done before, because it's going to make new connections. Think of those cells connecting. Okay, we want new connections in the brain. So spend 15 minutes a day learning something new. This is especially important now. I'm assuming that most of you are still locked inside and not able to go out as much, not able to be with people as much as we all would like. I know here in Israel, they just extended our lockdown another 10 days. So we're all suffering from isolation and not being with people and not having our brains challenged by being with people. So learning something new is super important. So there's so many ways to do it. You can take an online course. You can do workshops like this. You know, thank God there's so much available online and even for free, whether you're learning a Torah topic or history or chemistry or digital marketing. Just find something that you really want to learn that's interesting to you and learn something new. Take a course. You could do it on YouTube. You could do it on Udemy. You could do my memory course, which I'll talk about soon. So many opportunities to learn something new. And it's super stimulating for the brain. If you're still working or you have some type of job, cross-train at work and learn someone else's job. Because instead of doing the same thing for 40 years in a row, learn something new. Learn someone else's job. It makes you more valuable as well. Break the routines of your life to stimulate new parts of your brain. Write or brush your teeth with a non-dominant hand. So if I'm a righty and I'm used to brushing my teeth with my right hand, I'm going to do it with my left hand. And when I do that, it feels funny. Why? Because I'm using different neurons than I usually use. And we're not doing things by rote. We're actually stimulating a different part of the brain. Try writing with your non-dominant hand. It's really hard. And then try writing with both hands at the same time. You will feel your brain working. So that's a fun exercise you can do after this. Here's another really good one. Mentorship. Mentorship, either mentor or mentee. It's an incredible mental workout. You're learning from someone else. Like if you're the mentee and you have a mentor, you're learning from someone else and that you look up to, and it combines the benefit of deep conversation with skill building. And if you're the mentor, you're teaching someone else, forces you to put yourself in their shoes, which requires empathy and problem-solving skills. So you might have taken this for granted that as a mentor, you're using these brain skills, so we sort of take it for granted. But it's a great way to use your brain. And what are you doing? You're helping someone else. You're helping someone else, which we know is such an important part of, it makes us feel more actualized. It makes us feel like we're giving, and that fills us up, and that gives us purpose, which is a huge piece of our cognition. This webinar is not about purpose, but I've done one on purpose. And without purpose, we have nothing to wake up for in the morning, and our cognition is just going to go down the drain. Our brain's going to go down the drain if we have no purpose in life. So number 5 on this slide shows, even if you're locked inside and alone, you can give to other people. There are all sorts of different chesed programs set up where you can, even through Zoom or on the phone, you can learn with other people. You can help younger people. And you have so much life wisdom and life experience to give to others. And I encourage you to do that because it's good for your brain, besides the fact that it's good for the person that you're helping. Okay, here's the practical part. We're gonna do this. 3 exercises to help you think outside the box. Okay, these are really fun. The first one is alphabetized adventure. It's very easy. These are very simple exercises that you can do anywhere to stimulate your brain. So you take a word. I'm just going to use the word number. That's the example I use. Number. And I'm going to alphabetize the letters of that word. And I'm doing it in my head. So I like to close my eyes because it's easier for me. So it's BEMNRU. Okay, I just took a word, and you can take any word. You can look around your room. You can look around anywhere where you are and choose a word. It could be, start with a 5-letter word. If that's too hard, do 4 letters. If that's too easy, do 6 letters. And you're going to just alphabetize it in your mind. What does this do for you? It makes you think about the letters and the words in a different way than you're used to thinking about it. So it makes you more creative. So that's the first one, is the alphabetized adventure. Very simple, but it's stimulating. When you do it, you'll feel your brain working. The next one we're going to practice together. This is have a conversation without the letter E. Now, this is harder than you think. And I'm going to ask for 2 volunteers to unmute yourselves. And I'm going to ask you to have a conversation, 2 people, without using the letter E. And after we do it, I'm going to tell you what it does for your brain. Do we have 2 volunteers that are willing to unmute themselves and practice this? Naomi, did you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Naomi. Thanks for being brave. Do we have another one? I'm looking. There's a lot of people on here. Who else unmuted themselves? We just need one other person to have it's just a 1-minute conversation with Naomi without using the letter E. Okay. It says Jane, but I don't think your name is Jane. What's your name?
It's Henry.
Hi, Henry. So Henry and Naomi are going to have a conversation with each other without using the letter E. Now, by the way, you can do this exercise with any letter. Obviously, the vowels are much harder, so I'm choosing a hard letter on purpose. But if it's too hard, you can always do this. You can do this with your kids, your grandchildren. It's really fun. You can do this over the phone, on Zoom. It's super fun. Okay, let's do it. Naomi and Henry, who wants to start?
Okay. Hi, Henry. Oh, no, I can't say Henry.
Shall I go?
Yeah, go for it.
I can go to shul.
Good for you. How is it?
Good.
In what way is it good?
I can pray.
Do you miss anything?
Nope.
Oh, that's got an E at the end.
And you run without falling down.
That's a good one.
Today I can.
Excellent. Okay, stop there. You guys did amazing.
Baruch Hashem.
Thanks,
But
Naomi.
that's
and
only
Henry.
it. Hashem has only in it.
It's hard, right? Naomi and Henry, it's hard, right?
Yes. Yeah, you really got to think.
Okay, you really got to think. Now, what does this do for us? First of all, it makes you think before you speak, which is actually a very good practice. Most of us don't pay that much attention to what we're saying until we've said it, right? So it makes you think before you speak, and it makes you improvise or compensate, because you wanted to say, hello, Henry, but Henry has an E in it. So you had to come up with some other way to say hello to him, right? Without using his name. So it makes you be creative, because it makes you, I got to find another word. So it really uses your brain. It's super fun, and it's actually challenging. Like I said, you can use any letter of the alphabet to do this, and you can do this with kids. You can do this at your Shabbos table. You can do it in any language, actually, if you speak Hebrew or Yiddish. It's really fun, and it really uses your brain. So you can take that and use that anywhere. And it's also a good conversation starter. Like if you're meeting someone new and you say, hey, you want to play a fun game with me? You can even, someone might think you're crazy, but that's okay. It's a really fun one, and it really uses your brain. That's the second one. The third of these exercises to think outside the box is this is, again, the math. Going back to the math, we want to challenge we want to use a part of our brain, especially for those of you that say you're not good at math. Add up a series of one-digit numbers fast. Okay, so what does this mean? It could be your phone number, your license plate number, your social security number, here in Israel we have a 2 dots of hood as an ID number. It could be if you have a long address, it could be your birth date. Take any number. I want to add them up. So I'm going to do this. For example, I'm going to take my phone number. It's 991-6226. So 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19, plus 6 is 25, plus 2 is 27, plus 2 is 29, plus 6 is 35. I did that fast, but that is not the first time I've done that. I've done that several times before. So the first time you do it, it takes some time. Now, what does that do for your brain? It basically makes you hold one series of information, and then boom, boom, we keep moving. You have to keep flipping the information that you're holding in your brain. So it makes us more creative and more flexible. If you do these exercises like a couple times a week, you will find you're actually more creative when it comes to problem solving. So again, it's alphabetize adventure. Take any word and alphabetize the letters. Have a conversation without using the letter E or any letter. And add up a series of one-digit numbers fast, okay? So it's just adding them up like one digit. So if I would take my passport number, just this plus this, just take the numbers and add them up as fast as you can. And obviously the idea is to do this in your head and not to write it down. So start with something easy and then you can get harder and harder. Okay, so those are just really 3 fun exercises for you to take with you and use whenever you want. You can do them if you're waiting at the doctor's office and you're bored or anxious. Just do this instead of being anxious. Okay, another really fun one that I'm going to ask for a volunteer in a second. This is called the Stroop test. You can actually Google it and you can find it if you want it. Stroop test. So this is a bunch of colors written in different colors. So the blue is not written in blue. The blue is written in green. So we want to say what we actually want to, I don't want to read blue. I want to say green. I want to say the color that the words are written in, not what it says. Okay, so I want to read, I'm going to look at the word blue and say green. This is quite challenging. Do we have any brave volunteers? Wait, I can't stop sharing my screen, so I'm going to keep sharing my screen. Do we have any brave volunteers that want to try to do this? Okay. Leela, is your name Leela? Unmute yourself, Leela. Is it Leela or Lila? How do you pronounce it?
Leela.
Leela. Okay, hi Leela. Thank you for volunteering. Leela, so you're going to read across the line and you're going to say the color that the word is written in, okay?
Okay. So green, purple, yellow, red. Yellow, red, blue, green. Red,
Good.
green, yellow, red. Green, yellow, purple, blue. Blue, purple, red, yellow. Yellow, blue, yellow, green.
Excellent. That was amazing. Round of applause for Leela. That was great. It's hard, right?
Yeah, it's confusing because
Yeah, the first time you do it, it's like, wait, what does my brain need to do?
I had to disconnect from the actual word and just look at the color. So I wasn't actually reading, I was just saying the color.
Exactly. But your brain wants to read. Your brain wants to read blue, red, yellow. So you have to change that. So it's really a good workout for your brain. And the second time you do it, it gets easier. Every time you do it, it gets easier. The first time I did this, I was so confused. But it gets easier. So that's a really fun one also. And that's called the Stroop test. Okay. Okay. I want to give you some resources. Now, there are tons and tons of websites that you could be doing, brain exercises and stuff. So I just pulled out a few. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. I just give you a couple resources here. You can write some of them down, some links. I don't get a kickback from any of this. These are just ones that I've compiled, some that I like doing. If you want to do online brain training stuff, this is what you can do. And I'm going to talk about if you want to do it or not in a minute. But we did say that it's good for your brain. It can be good. There are some cons to it. We'll talk about that in a minute. So sharpbrains.com. SharpBrains is both market research on brain training, and the Brain Teasers. It's a great website. It's called sharpbrains.com. You remember the first slide I put up with the puzzle pieces was from that website, SharpBrains. So that's free, and it's research and brain teasers, but it doesn't track your progress. So the nice thing about some of these other ones like Brain HQ and CogniFit and Lumosity is that they track your progress, and that's what you pay for. If you pay a monthly membership to them, which I'm not saying you have to because there's plenty of free stuff, but what it does is, so let's say today you did 10% right, and then tomorrow you get 20% right, so it's fun to look at your progress over time. So Brain HQ is a web-based cognitive training program that includes useful fields. 1 second, I have to close this so I can see. Useful fields of view, training. It's brainhq.com. Also another one that has to do with driving. If you look at CogniFit, the next, the 2 down. If you're driving and you're not sure if you should be driving or when to stop driving, whether it's safe for you, so there's CogniFit Senior Driving, which is a web-based cognitive training program that assesses and trains for 10 driving-related cognitive skills. The one in between is called Cognicity, and that is actually a cognitive assessment. If you're wondering if you're okay or not, you can do a quick cognitive assessment, and they'll give you, they'll let you know whether you need to visit the doctor or not. That's Cognicity. And Lumosity. Probably a lot of you have heard of Lumosity because they do an amazing job advertising and PR. Lumosity.com. They have a bunch of free games that you can play and see if you like them. If you like them, you can take a paid training, a membership. Lumosity has a bunch, and some of these others also, they have different skills. It's not just memory. It's word recall and agility and math. Like they have a lot of different exercises and brain games. So it's not just one thing. So it's an overall workout, which is good. And then there's a free one at the bottom that says memory-improvement-tips.com. It's not as fancy of a website, but it has a lot of different brain exercises there for free. But again, it doesn't track your progress. So the paid ones have the benefit of tracking your progress, and then you can see how well you did, and you can remember what you're up to, and then it makes it harder as you get better at it. So these are just some of them. You don't have to do any of these, but you can. If you're feeling like you have time and you need to keep sharp and you're not sure what to do, you can check some of these out. Now, the next question is, do I want to be on the computer training my brain? And it's a very good question. So let's just talk about the pros and cons. So there is research that shows that it can increase your mental flexibility and keep you mentally sharp as you age and even make you more intelligent. You know, there is a debate. You know, there are some excuse me, one sec. There's a debate about whether all these studies are true or not. Obviously, the ones that are going to promote Lumosity were funded by Lumosity, and they're going to prove that, of course, you should do Lumosity. So there is a benefit to it. The question is it overall the best thing for your brain? That's why I like the bottom line here. This really sums it up. If you already spend too much time staring at your computer screen or smartphone, your time is probably much better well spent going out for a stroll, enjoying a new hobby, or even visiting with a friend. All of these activities can have major long-term effects on the health and vitality of your brain. So why is that? Because we know that staring at a screen all day, which is what a lot of us have been doing, because some of us are exercising on the screen and we're getting our cognitive stimulation. We're doing a lot on the screen these days because we don't have a choice. But really, we would be much better off going outside, getting the sun and the air, and even walking with a person, even if you're wearing a mask and you're, I don't know how many meters apart you have to be in England, but here it's 2 meters apart. So there is a downside effect. There is a con of sitting in front of the computer all day playing brain exercises. They're doing a lot of research that says that it's good for your brain, but if you have a choice, or if you've done your computer work for the day, then go outside and take a walk, learn a new hobby, visit with a friend if you're able to in a safe way. So that is the bottom line with computerized brain training. It can be good for you, but you want to mix it up. You want to do some of that and some of the other stuff. Okay, one more slide and then I'm going to take questions. Okay, So what do I do and what do I offer? So first of all, if you're concerned about your memory and you want a private personalized memory assessment, you can get in touch with me. I do that. Basically, I'm going to type into the chat my website. It's actually here, renayudkowsky.com. And I actually have a full course. I teach an online memory course, which I'm not offering right this second, so I'm not going to tell you all about that. What I am going to tell you about is Remembership. Look at this slide. In the middle, there's a very pretty logo that says Remembership. And that is a 3-month membership that I'm currently offering. You can join at any point. And it's not a live program. It's every week you get access to one video that has it's a short video, 6 to 12 minutes, that has a great tip or technique that you can use right now and practice for the week, and a brain exercise. So I've been talking about all these different brain exercises that are good for you. I give it to you. Once a week you get a video and a brain exercise for me. And once a month we do hop on a live group coaching call, and that's where I answer questions. So it's renayudkowsky.com. I'm going to right now put this in the chat so that you can click on it. You can open the window and click on it and look at it later. One second. What I'm going to do is, here we go. Okay, actually, this is the membership page on my website. Getting older does not equal losing your memory. There's something you could do about it. And this is what I love to impress on people, is that there is so much you can do to keep sharp. I teach some really great techniques here, and it's very, very helpful. People have bought into this. They love it. And I'm going to put, right now, I'm going to click into the chat. I'm going to stop sharing. 1 second. And in the chat, I'm going to put the direct link to Remembership. And you can just click on this afterwards, and you're welcome to join at any point. renayudkowsky.com/remembership. It's on my website. So if you go to my website, you'll also find it. One more thing, and then I'm going to take questions. 1 second, not that. Hold on, I want to go back to share something else. 1 second. I want to share something else. Wait. This. Okay. So that's Remembership. It's a 3-month membership program where you get a video a week, a brain exercise a week. It's super fun. You do it at your own time. And then once a month, there's a live group coaching call where I answer your questions and go over the information. I have over 50 members in it now. They're loving it. And you can start at any time. And that is really fun. If you buy Remembership, you actually get 10% off of You Name It, the 2-part masterclass to learn names. So if those of you are going to ask me about how to remember names, I go through the whole technique. It's super fun, super interactive. I'm starting that in 2 weeks from tomorrow. It's called You Name It. And if you go to my website, you'll see a big banner on my website, the renayudkowsky.com. It says, I'm so bad at names. You're not going to be saying that anymore. Click on that. That will take you to read about You Name It, which is my 2-part masterclass. Not a lot of time, not a lot of money. You'll walk away with knowing how to remember people's names, because that's live. That's a live class, 2-part masterclass, super fun. And I also have a Facebook group. For those of you that are on Facebook, that's free. You join my Facebook group. I post all sorts of fun memory stuff in there. So pretty much what you need to remember right now is renayudkowsky.com, because you can get to all of these services from renayudkowsky.com. And I put it in the chat. You can click on it, open another window, and look at it later. Now, did I say everything? Do memory assessments, my full course, my Remembership, the You Name It, the Facebook group. I know that's a lot to remember, but it's all available on renayudkowsky.com. And you can email me at rena@renayudkowsky.com, and I'll answer any of your questions. Now I'm going to the chat. I'm going to take the questions in the chat first, and then I'll take any other questions. Okay, learning something new is learning more of the same, including something new. Okay,
well, what I meant by that is an example. So it's kind
of, what's the question there?
So let's say it's a regular Gemara share or a regular Chabura, you're learning more of the same.
Yeah.
Even though the teacher might not express it that way.
Yeah, and so you're reviewing something that you already know. Is that what you're saying?
No, you're just continuing the same topic.
Yeah. You're learning something new. You're participating in a live share, or even if it's not live. Yes, you're learning something new, and reviewing is also great. We know that the more you review, the more you're going to remember it, right?
Thank you.
So yeah, that's great. Gemara is also super good for your brain, by the way. You said a Gemara share, right?
Yep.
Yeah, super good, because you're really using your brain. So Yeah, so you're saying even though it's not something new, you're every day doing it and reviewing something that you might have learned before, but learning it. And the good thing about Kamara is every time you learn it, you learn something new, right?
Thank you.
Okay, yes. Can we have a copy of the slides, maybe as a PDF? Okay, that's a good question. And the answer is that I do not give out these slides because I use this all over and it's super valuable. If you email me, I'm happy to send you one slide. Like if you want the slide that has the parts of the brain with the brain exercises, email me at Rena@RenaYudkowsky.com and I'll send you that slide if you want. But I don't give out the whole slide. I warned you in the beginning that there's a lot of information and you should take notes. But if you get on my email list, I'm happy to send you one or any one slide that you want. Tell me what you want, I'll send you one slide. Is reading a daily newspaper good for the brain? Okay, I get that question a lot. Look, reading the news, you're reading something, it's stimulating. However, in my personal opinion, most of the news is depressing. And I actually tell people to stop reading the news these days because it just makes us depressed. So if you're reading and you're remembering what you're reading, good. I don't think the daily newspaper is the most challenging or stimulating thing to be reading for your mental health, nor for your mood or cognitive benefit. So if you enjoy reading the newspaper, you can read the newspaper. And if you're remembering what you're reading, that's great. But I would go for something a little more positive, stimulating, challenging, and happy. That's just my opinion. Okay, I put in my membership link. If medication affects your memory, can these exercises still help improve it? Okay, that's a great question. Yes, there are a lot of medications that affect your memory. In my course, I have a whole page of them. We go through a bunch of them, but I could tell you right off the bat, statins, benzodiazepines, sleeping pills affect memory. And I know that from firsthand from people who have taken my course and told me this. I am not telling you to stop taking any medication. Do not stop taking any medication without consulting with your doctor. However, there are a lot of drugs that affect your memory. So I'm assuming that whoever asked this question knows that and even maybe has experienced it. So again, don't stop taking any meds without talking to your doctor. The question was, will these exercises help? So I really hope so. I really hope so, but I can't promise anything. I can't look in your brain without any brain. I can't look in your brain and see what's going on. So if there's damage to a part of your brain from a traumatic brain injury or a car accident or something like that, and you know about that, then we can work with you to try to, let's say you know there's damage to a certain part of your brain, then we can try to work on that certain part of the brain. So it depends how specific you know what's going on. If you just know, you're taking statins and you really feel a memory loss, talk to me. I'll try to coach you one-on-one about what to do best for that. I would like to believe these exercises will still help, but it really depends on what's going on in your brain, and it's a very individual and subjective question. So that's as much as I can answer without knowing more information. Okay, did not come through on the chat. I see it. Wait. Oh, that's because oh, thank you. It didn't come through because I did it to a specific person instead of to everyone. 1 second. Thank you for saying that. So I need to change it to everyone. I'm going to type it in again. Thank you for telling me that because I didn't realize that I was talking to one person. Here it is. RenaYudkowsky.com membership. You see it now, right? Okay. 1 second. There's a lot of good questions here. And I know we have to stop soon because you guys have another exercise class. So I will try to be timely, but I'll take a few more questions. Okay. What happens in the brain chemically that when you reach middle age 40s, you feel like you can't remember day-to-day things like you used to? Great question, Julie. Yeah, a lot of people, when they get into their 40s and 50s, they start worrying about their memory, which is why I say that I do memory coaching to midlifers and seniors. Meaning I made the age a little earlier because a lot of people in their 40s and 50s say, I'm starting to lose it. What's going on for them? Usually, at least in my experience, people in their 40s and 50s, there's a couple things. First of all, they're multitasking too much. They're trying to do too many things at once. And although I have a whole webinar on multitasking and concentration and focus. So when you were younger, you were able to get away with doing a lot of things at once. But guess what? As you get older, you can't pay attention to more than one thing at a time. And that probably most of you have experienced that. So the best thing you could do is stop multitasking. Stop trying to do so many things at once, because multitasking trips up your brain. So when people in their 40s and 50s come to me and say, I'm losing it, I say, how many things are you trying to do at once? And they usually say about 150. And I say, stop. As much as you can, simplify, slow down. Because what happens, we think we're paying attention to something, but we're really not. That's the first thing that could be going on. Second of all, sleep. A lot of people in their 40s and 50s start to have trouble with sleep. You can nod your head if you know what I'm talking about. And sleep is a huge factor in cognition. So in my full course, I talk about, I go through a whole bunch of suggestions from Dr. Amen for sleep, how we can get to sleep better. So that's another thing that's going on. And the third thing, for women at least, is sometimes menopause. The hormonal changes really affect cognition. So I actually have on my YouTube channel is Memory Matters with Rena. You're welcome. There's a lot of free videos on there. You're welcome to check it out. Memory Matters with Rena YouTube channel. I have on there a webinar that I did with a menopause coach, which is excellent. So if you're in that range and you want to hear more about that, there's a lot about hormones and memory. And I also have on there something, earlier in this talk, I mentioned something about purpose and meaning. There's a webinar I did with another social worker on purpose. It's called A Matter of Purpose, and that's an excellent webinar. You can watch that for free also. So my YouTube channel is Memory Matters with Rena, R-E-N-A, and you can catch some other things on there for free. I hope I answered that question for that was a quick version of, there's really a lot to say about that. Did you mention how physical exercise walking can help the brain? I didn't, because I could talk for 3 hours about that. So let's talk about that for 1 second. When you walk or do any physical exercise, you are creating something in your brain, a protein called BDNF, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Sorry, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That's basically like miracle grow for your brain. So I want you to picture a water and a plant, pouring water on a plant. What does it do? When you pour water on a plant, it grows. When you exercise, it grows your brain. So the easiest, fastest, best way to grow your brain right now is to stand up, and if it's safe, to do jumping jacks, or to march in place, or to go walk around your block. Okay, it is like really the one best thing you can do for your brain. It's going to put you in a better mood. It's going to make you think clearer. It's going to create endorphins. Exercise. In terms of what exercise and how much and what, all that, it's another webinar. But the point is that physical exercise on your brain is like water on a plant, because it's creating BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which makes your brain grow. And that's what we want to do. We want to grow new brain cells. So just like I talked about learning that grows new brain cells, exercise grows new brain cells. That's the long and short of that one. Can you describe the alphabetized adventure again? Yeah. You take any word, you can look around and just find a word. Look around your room and find a word. And you're going to alphabetize the word in your head. So take the word number, N-U-M-B-E-R. You want to take the letters and put them in alphabetical order. So it's B-E-M-N-R-U. Okay? That's the alphabetized adventure. Can you say anything about visual memory? Okay, I talk a lot about visual memory in Remembership, because I do a whole video on visualization. Yeah, visualization is one of the key techniques we're going to use to remember names, numbers, lists of items. I actually don't do those techniques in Remembership. Remembership, I talk about visualization. But for names, join me on You Name It, which is starting 2 weeks from tomorrow, and you can get to that from my website. Do supplements, fish oil help? Yes. There are lots of supplements. I don't want to recommend anything specifically, but fish oil is, yes, omega-3. So you could be taking supplements, you could be eating fish, flaxseed, nuts all have omega-3 in them. Yes, we need omega-3 for our brain. So that definitely helps. There are some other supplements I can talk about, but I think we're out of time because I know some of you want to go exercise. I mean, I could continue. Tell me, Rabbi Zobin, tell me if I should continue or let them go. Yeah.
Whoever wants to leave, can leave.
Okay.
And
Whoever needs to go exercise can go exercise, because we just said that's the best thing you could be doing for your brain. So I'm totally okay with you going to exercise. If you want to stay and ask me some questions, I'm happy to take some more questions. And I just want to thank you for being such a great audience today. Okay.
Thank you, because you've packed in just a wealth of information plus tips and tricks, and done it in such a relaxing and comfortable manner. So thank you to you.
You're welcome. And I'm sure you'll be sending out the recording to people that they can watch it again if they didn't catch everything. You can send out my website link if you want with it, so people have it in front of them. And does anyone have any other last questions? Let's see, what'd she say? You started talking about supplements. Oh, I'm impressed, Sylvia, that you know about phosphatidylserine, if I can even pronounce that. Good for you. Sylvia, how do you know about that? I'm curious. Tell me how you know about that. I'm so impressed that you know that. Yes, there is a supplement called PF. It's hard to pronounce. I think it's phosphatidylserine, if I'm pronouncing it right. I have seen great research on that. I've heard the doctors talk about it. There's so much out there that it's really hard I don't like to promote something unless I've taken it, tried it, or know the person, like know the company that's doing it, because there's so much out there. But yes, there is research on PS that says that it's excellent for brain health. That's as much as I'll say. But I can't recommend a specific company that's producing it, but I know that is one of the ingredients in a lot of these supplements for the brain. I just don't want to lead people to use things that I can't 100% vouch for, because there's a lot out there. I will say something about CBD oil. Have any of you heard about CBD oil? It's cannabis. There's a lot of good research on that with focus and attention and sleep. So if some of you are suffering from memory loss because of sleep, get some CBD oil. And for that, I do actually have someone that I trust and that I've tried. So if I trust them and I've tried it, I feel comfortable recommending it to you. I still say you should ask your doctor before trying anything. I will, for anyone that's interested, email me and I'll send you the email of Liba Greenman, who lives in Denver, and she produces CBD. I've tried it myself. It helps me sleep amazingly. It helps calm me down when I feel really anxious about 100 things that I could be feeling anxious about right now. It's amazing stuff. It does not work for everyone. It works for a lot of people. It does not work for everyone. It also has been used if any of you are caring for people with dementia. I didn't really talk about dementia, but I have a lot of experience with it. If any of you are actually caring for people with dementia, which might be the case here, CBD oil has been used to help people with dementia also just feel calmer, sleep better, be less agitated. It is not a drug. It is legal. In England, in fact, I was told in England you could buy it off the shelf, which is not the case here in Israel. Yeah, it's going to be soon here in Israel like that, but it is legal in most places. I was told in America it's legal. I was told in England it's legal, but you guys might know better. So if you want to hear more about CBD, actually on my YouTube channel, the Memory Matters with Rena YouTube channel, I have a free webinar with Liba Greenman all about CBD oil. That's the best way to find out about it. Or you can send me an email and I'll send you her email. She's great. She's really good. Julie, question?
Can I ask another question? Sorry, can I speak rather than type it? I prefer that. I mean, it's quite, I guess it's personal to me. Mm-hmm. My question is, I've always been really, really good at remembering names, numbers. Yeah. I know people's phone numbers. I don't know what it is about that, and I'm curious about what it is in my brain that can do that. But what I'm not good at is like historical facts. I don't know. Yeah, history.
So I think we all have certain parts of,
What is it about my brain that does?
So I think we all have certain parts of our brain that are more used than others. It's like saying my biceps are really strong, but my leg muscles are weak. Why? Probably because you use your biceps to lift heavy things more than maybe you use your lower body. So for whatever reason, that part of your brain is probably more used, right? Use it or lose it, and more trained. We say you don't have a good brain or a bad brain. It's trained or untrained. People always say, I have such a bad memory. No, you don't. You have an untrained memory, okay? And with really a little bit of training goes a long way. In 2-part masterclass, I can teach you the technique for names. You'll be so happy that you can remember anyone's name from now on. So Julie, I think it's just the part of your brain that maybe you used a lot. You're obviously good with numbers, right? But you're not good with history.
Yeah.
It's what you trained and used. But so that part of, I didn't go into the parts of the brain that are good for history, but you can train it. You can use it if you want. You can sort of train your brain to be better for historical facts and other things. And those of you that are not good with numbers and math can do the math challenges. In fact, in Remembership I think there's 2 math challenges, and they're quite hard as some of the brain exercises. In Remembership, there's every week a brain exercise, and they're all different types of brain exercises because of what we discussed today, which is we want to be doing a varied approach to working different parts of the brain. So,
do you recommend anything specific, particularly for like facts rather than maths and number and names?
Not off the top of my head. Like I can't think of anything. I would just say practice whatever you feel you're not good at. So if you're not good at names, practice with names. If you're not good at numbers, learn the techniques for those things and practice those things. Like really use it or lose it. Just use those parts, challenge those parts more. That's what I would say. Okay, I don't want to go into Lewy body dementia now because that's a whole nother story. Why would it not be legal? It sounds like magic. Yeah, it is. Some people say it's magic. I don't like to use that word because it sounds very, like a marketing ploy. People really say it's magic. I've had very good experiences with it. In fact, I heard a doctor say that it's magic. So it's really okay to say that because I'm not saying it. I heard a psychiatrist who uses CBD oil say that it's magic. It would not be legal because it has THC in it. So depending on how much, there's 2 parts to the plant, THC and CBD. THC is the part that is quote unquote addictive, where that's like in the marijuana part. So if there's too much THC in it, it could be addictive. But most of these oils that are legal, they have a very small amount of THC, and it's really not a problem about getting addicted to it at all. But that's the reason that it hasn't become legal in some places, because of the THC part of it, which is that part that could be addictive. Okay. If anyone has any personal or specific to them questions, really, Rena Yudkowsky, I'm happy to take your emails and follow up with anyone. I'm going to stop there because it's already.
Well, Rena, I've got one quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
You mentioned, don't multitask or try not to multitask.
Yeah.
Well, it's embedded that when I'm concentrating on something else comes into my mind.
Of course.
Is there a particular thing for that? I'm like, can't focus on one thing. There's always something else. I've got, better do that first.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, that is, I have 4 techniques for that, for quieting our mind and for focusing on one task at a time. I have an acronym called TEAS, T-E-A-S. It's my acronym. It's 4 techniques. And if Rabbi Zobin wants to bring me back, we could do a whole webinar on TEAS. Or you could join Remembership. Remembership is in Remembership, there's 4 videos on that. So you are not the only one complaining about that. Yes, it is a real issue all the time because our mind goes all over the place as we start to focus. And we really need to learn to quiet it down. I actually have a bunch of questions I ask myself to help me do that, and my 4 techniques for focus. So I don't want to go into it now, but yes, there's something you absolutely can do. Also, someone put a good note in here that I do want to say. It's important to note with CBD, there are many fraudulent companies marketing poor varieties with very little active ingredients. Correct. That's why that's why I only promote the one that I know. Leva Greenman knows exactly where everything's coming from. She knows everyone in the chain of her, and I've had a long conversation with her about this. That is why I do not tell you to get it from anywhere else, because there is a lot of synthetic stuff out there, and I don't know the difference. I happen to know Leva stuff works because I've tried it. That's why I'm careful not to suggest or promote other companies. But yes, there are other fraudulent companies doing all sorts of things out there, so you do have to be careful to get it from a reputable source. As with all supplements and vitamins, that's true. So thank you for saying that. Okay. Oh, davening. Yes. Someone wrote, when I do my teas, I actually use davening as a great example, because what happens when we daven? We forget to say Yalav Yavo, we forget if we said a bracha, And I use it as an example to, when I talk about my 4 techniques, the TEASs, the T's, I use davening as a great example because the minute we open our sitter, where do we go? To Honolulu, right? Or to Switzerland, or somewhere else. So my brain is in Honolulu and my mouth is davening. And we want to align our brain and our body so that when we're davening or reading or doing anything, we're really here, we're really present, we're really focused. And that is a whole nother webinar, but it's a really good question and we all suffer from that. And I'm happy to talk to you more about that or join a membership because I do talk about it in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was truly fabulous. And I'm sorry, apologies to everybody who joined late and didn't see the email saying that we had shifted the talk earlier. The recording will be available and perhaps we will meet again.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you.